Hello Year 10, welcome to another home learning video with me, Mr. Mooton. Before I go on to the examples, I want to say a really big thank you to those of you who've gone online, watched the videos and done the frog quiz. I can see some really good answers. Can I ask you to keep the good work up, please? All right? And make sure when you get into difficulties, please do not give up. Just keep trying, keep persevering, and I'm sure it will make sense later on. Okay, so you can always rewind back for your examples, look at the examples again, and try it again. Okay, right. Let's get our pens, paper, and pencils ready. We're not going to need any calculators for this lesson, and let's have a go. So your first learning objective will be recapping over place value. Your second learning objective will be multiplying by 10, hundreds and thousands. And your third learning objective will be multiplication of powers of 10. So 6 times 2 squared, 7 times 2 cubed, and that sort of thing. Okay? Right, let's pause the video and have a go at this do now task, please. Okay, so well done. Now, I just want to recap over your long multiplication. So when you do 48 times 52, so many ways of doing it. The way I would prefer to do it, though, is using the Chinese box method. All right? So you want a grid that looks like this with lines going across the diagonals. Put 48 on top and 52 at the bottom. Okay? It doesn't matter if you switch them around. I'm just doing whatever comes first, okay? So you put the times sign right at the end there, okay? Change your color pen. 4, start with 4 multiplied by 5, that's 20. That's 2 tens, 0 units. Then you do the 8 times 5, which is 40. So 4 goes on the top, 0 goes on the bottom, okay? Now we do the bottom boxes. So we do 4 multiplied by 2 next, which is 8. 0 there, 8 at the bottom. And 8 times 2 is 16. Okay? So now I'm going to carry the 6 downwards. So my 6 is there. 8 plus 1 is 9. 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. And the 2 goes right at the end here. So your answer should be 2,496. Okay? Right, let's also look at the worded question because this is something that is quite popular in the exam. Now, it says Sean buys a pair of earrings for £19.43 and a handbag for £19.89. How much did Sean spend altogether? Now, the word altogether is very important because it would normally mean that you got to add two things together, all right? So all we got to do is add together £19.43 plus £19.89, okay? A column method would be sufficient for that. Adding 3 onto 9 will give you 12, so I'll put 2 down there and carry 1 upstairs. 8 plus 4 is 12, add the 1 is 13, so 3 there, carry the 1 upstairs. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus the 1 is 19, so 9 goes there, carry the 1 upstairs, and 1 plus 1 is 2, add another 1 is 3. Okay, now because we're dealing in money, we're not going to forget the pound sign. Your answer is £39.32. Okay. I'm going to give you the rest of the answers to these now. So that's we've already gone through. And so on. Okay, if you're still struggling with areas of rectangles, guys, please go and watch previous videos. Right, so let's have a date and title, please. And your keywords are underneath as well, so we can have those down. I would also advise you to copy down the table if possible. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for doing that. So we're going to use this table just to put some random numbers in there. Okay, so let's start with this. Now, if I have 4 units, okay, we can also call 4 4.000, and that would still be 4 units. Okay, now if I multiply this value by 10, well, 4 times 10 would give us 40. So the 4 will suddenly go into the tens column. One of the zeros will go into the units column. Okay, and then we'll have 40. Okay, I can also put zeros in these columns here, but I'm not going to bother. Okay, right. If I were to multiply by another 10, in fact, I will put those zeros in. Okay, if I was to multiply by another 10, well, the 4 will move forward again one place, so it'll be 400, because 40 times 10 is 400. Okay, and one of these zeros actually moves into this units column. Okay, now how do we move the 4 from the units column straight into the hundreds column? Is there anything we need to multiply by? Well, if you notice, 10 times 10 will give you 100. So when we multiply 4 by 100, okay, it moves in forward 2 place values. Okay, let's try this with a decimal. Now, sometimes with a decimal, it's not always willing to see. So let's say 6.7, okay? Now, 6.7 can also be written as 6.700, okay? If I multiply 6.7 by 10, all right, the 6 goes from a unit column to the tens column, so that would give us 6. The 7 moves forward one place as well, which is 67. I could put a point there and 2 zeros here, okay? Now, however, sometimes this can be difficult to see, all right? So you can do it like this. 6.7 times 10. You can just imagine the decimal point moving forward one place, okay? To give you an answer of 67, okay? Similarly, if I were to multiply by 100, the 6 will move forward 2 places into the hundreds column. The 7 will move forward into the tens. You'll see a 0 there, and so on. Okay, I'll put zeros at the end of this. Okay, so if I were to multiply by 100, okay, everything moves forward 2 places. Okay, so if I were to do 6.7 times 100, I would move the decimal point forward 2 places, 1 and 2. Okay, and underneath this little arch here, I'll put a 0. So the answer is 670. Okay. Right, so let's copy down our first examples. Okay, so pause the video and copy these down, please. Okay, so the first two, I'm sure most of you can do, okay, but I'll just recap anyway. So some of you may think of it as if I times by 10, where I have whole numbers, all I need to do is put a 0 on the end, okay, which is absolutely right, okay. So 64 times 10 is just 640, and what you'll notice is that each value, the 6 and the 4, moves forward one place value. So 6 goes from being a 10 in this bit to being 100, okay? 424 times 10 will just be 4,240. Okay, we put a 0 at the end if it's a whole number, and each place value moves forward one place, okay? So the 4 used to be 100 before when I times it by 10. It's moved forward one place value into the thousandths column. Okay. Right, so when we do 8.6 times 10, just imagine the decimal point moving forward one place. So that would be 86. When we do 483.2 multiplied by 10, again, the decimal point moves forward one place, giving us 4,832. Okay, and you've got to be careful though when we have 0 point something. Okay, so 0.682, we just imagine the decimal point moving forward one place will give us 6.82. And 58.748 times 10, moving the decimal point forward one place, will give us 587.48. Okay? Right, it's your turn to have a go at some questions now. So pause the video and please have a go at these questions. Okay, lovely. So let's have a look at some of your answers. So question number 1A is 580. Part B is 6,280. Part C is 39. Part D is 2,487. Part E is 8.42. And that should say part F, which is 297.25. Okay, well done if you've had a go. All right, let's copy down these examples, please, and we'll go through them. Okay, brilliant. So when you multiply 7 by 100, you might have been taught in the past to put 2 zeros on the end, okay, which is absolutely right. But what you'll also notice is that everything moves forward 2 place values, okay? So the 7 used to be a unit, timesing by 100, puts it in the hundreds column, okay? So it's now 700, okay? 842 times 100, you put 2 zeros at the end, but the 2 you'll find used to be a unit, okay? But when you multiply it by 100, it jumps forward 2 places into the hundreds column, okay? To give you 84,200. Okay, make sure you label that. All right, so now what you've got to remember is when you have decimals, the decimal will move forward 2 places this time, okay? So 62.7, okay, if I move that forward once, the decimal point will go right in front of the 7. But then if I move it forward again, you'll see another arch here, okay, which means there's an invisible 0 underneath, okay? So it's 6,270, okay? For part D, moving the decimal point forward 2 places, we'll put it in front of the 7. So that would be 887.6, okay? If we multiply 0.423 by 100, moving the decimal point forward 2 places, we'll put the point right in front of the 2. So it'll be 42.3. And similarly for 64.286, that's part F, by the way, you multiply by 100, decimal point will go right in front of the 8, so it's 6428, sorry, 0.6, okay, 6,428.6, okay? Okay, so it's time to pause the video again, and let's have a go at these questions, please. Okay, so part A, your answer is 900. Part B, your answer is 79,600. Part C, 6,710. Part D is 987.6. Part E is 67.8. And part F is 8,924.5. Well done if you got all these right. Okay, so example number 3, we're multiplying by 1,000 now. So can we copy down these examples, please? Okay, thank you for doing that. Now, when you multiply by 1,000, when you have whole numbers, you might think of it as having 3 zeros on the end, okay, which is fine. But there's a bit more to it than that. So we'll know that that is 64,000. What you'll notice is that the 4 used to be a unit, but now it's in the thousands column. Okay, it's been promoted 3 times. It's gone up 3 divisions, if you obviously think of it in football terms. And the same thing here. So the 3 used to be a unit in this column, okay? And multiplying by 1,000 has promoted it 3 places into the thousands column, okay? So that would be 8,243,000. That's how you'd say that number. Okay. Now, with your decimals, you just move it forward 3 times. Okay, when you multiply by 1,000, that's 1, 2, and 3. So that would be 6,743. Same thing here, but you've got to be careful because when you move it forward 3 times, 1, 2, 3, okay, underneath the arch would be a 0. So that's going to be 4240. So 4,240. Okay. And the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Actually, not really, because we can just say that's 679, sorry. And the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. So it should be 38456. Okay, 38,456. Okay. All right, so let's pause the video and have a go at these questions, please. Okay, brilliant. Well done for having a go. So question number 1 is 21,000. Part B is going to be 4,527,000. Part C is 3,821. Part D is going to be 3,210. Part E is 453. And part C is going to be 29,431. Okay? Right, so let's now look at something else. Powers of 10. So this is how you're likely to see it in the exam. Okay? So can we just pause the video and copy down the left-hand side questions, please? And I'll explain what they mean in a minute. Right, so what you'll see is that 10 to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0 is always going to be 1. Okay, and this is something that you have to just know when we do the exam later. Okay, 10 to the power of 1, anything to the power of 1 is just itself, so that's just 10. 10 squared just means 10 times 10. And 10 cubed just means 10 times 10 times 10, okay? So 10 squared is going to be 100, and 10 cubed is 1,000, okay? So what you can do is this. When you notice, if it's to the power of 2, you'll have 2 zeros. If you've got 10 to the power of 3, you'll have 3 zeros, okay? So 10 to the power of 4 would just be 4 zeros, okay? So 10,000, okay? So that's one little trick you can use, okay? Right, so example number 4. So can we pause the video, please, and copy these questions down? Okay, so 6 times 10 squared. Well, we know that 10 squared is 100. So all we're doing is 6 times 100. And the answer is 600. Okay? 68 times 10 cubed means, well, actually, we're really doing 68 times 1,000. So the answer should be 68,000. Okay? Right, 6.24 times 10 cubed. So you're really doing 6.24 times 1,000. And when you times by 1,000, be careful. Decimal point moves forward 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So that's 624. Because I've got an arch with nothing underneath it, I need to put a 0 underneath. Okay. 43.56 times 10 to the power 4 will just be 1, 2, 3, 4. So decimal point move forward. We'll move forward 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 2 zeros now. So 4, 3, 5, 6. 2 arches, so 2 zeros. Okay. Now, for part E, 10 to the 1 just means you're just timesing it by 10. Decimal point moves forward one place. That's 6.79. And for the last bit, well, that's pretty easy. You can be lazy with that. So that's just 38.456, 38.456 multiplied by 1, which is just equal to 38.456, okay? And that's really all you're doing, okay? Right, so what I'd like to do now is pause the video and have a go at these questions, please. Okay, so the first one, remember you're timesing by 100. Part B, you're timesing by 1,000. Part C, you're timesing by 1,000. Part D, you're timesing by 10,000. So remember, decimal point moves forward 4 times. Part E, you're just timesing by 10. And part F, you're just timesing by 1. Okay? Right. So I'd now like you to have a go at this worksheet, please. So pause the video, please have a go. Okay, well done for doing that. Your answers are here. Okay, so what I would like to do, please, guys, is have a go at some extension questions. So let's do these power of 10 questions. Okay, well done for that. And your answers to these are over here. Okay, well, that brings the video to an end, Year 10. So please remember now we're ready for the frog quiz. So let's have a go at that.